excited about going to Harvard University. Woo! Harvard University is probably one of the most well-known universities in the entire world, and I am excited and honored to take Queller Prep on this trip. We're going to see Harvard Medical School on a private tour, very fancy. We're going to see Harvard Dental, Harvard School of Public Health. We're also getting a general campus tour and a historical tour of Harvard in the beautiful campus grounds. I'm so excited.
Dr. Nutt, and I am the Director of Educational Outreach Programs. And today I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Miss Melissa Friedman, who is the Director of Admissions. So she's going to share with you today what it takes to get into Harvard Medical School. It's never too early to start planning, to start preparing. And so for those of you who are interested in becoming physicians, I want you to pay particular attention to what Ms. Friedman has to say. If you're not interested in becoming a physician, I want you to listen anyway, because what she's going to tell you is information that is important and valuable to you as you progress towards and through your professional life. Okay? So, Ms. Friedman, you ready?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. We're really excited to have you here today. As Dr. Nutt said, my name is Melissa Friedman. I'm the Director of Admissions here at HMS. I'm really thrilled, I think I speak on behalf of everyone here at Harvard, that we're thrilled to see that you are all here today, because that means that you are taking steps towards making good choices for your future. And I think that's what's really important at this stage of the game. And so you all get an A+ in my book for being here on a Friday in the summer instead of being out and doing something else. So you all deserve a round of applause. And it's so great to also see so many parents in the group, because this truly is not something that your children can do alone. They do need the support from you. They need the encouragement from you. They need you to set good examples. And so it's really great. It really is a partnership, and my hope is that in many years from now, it will probably come much quicker than any of us expect, but we will see some of you here as applicants and then hopefully as students. And so what I really want to do, I don't have many things planned. I really like to sort of gauge my talks to what the group wants to hear, but to give me a better sense of who you are, if we could just raise your hands for the students in the group, so I get a sense of where you are in school. You're all high school students, correct? No. Okay, so some of you, yeah, because some of you look a little bit younger than high school. So do we have rising 7th graders?
Yeah.
Okay. Rising 8th graders.
I will share a commonality among the group. Many of these kids are first-generation American. Many of these children speak a language other than English, predominantly at home. And many of these kids will be the first ones in their family to go to a top college or university. So it's a very, very ambitious group of kids who is here today. So I'm very excited to share that information with you.
Wonderful. So then rising 9th graders, 10th graders, okay, 11th graders, okay, any rising seniors? There's students that are older than that, or younger than that. Let's put it that way. Okay, so it's a good group, and you really do span the age ranges. So I'm going to keep it very generic. It's great that you have identified early on that you want to, one, seek higher education. That is really great, and that will set you up. I think it's important to keep in mind your goals and the big picture. but also not to let that detract you from the bigger picture, which is getting into college, and then once you're in college, really experiencing everything that that has to offer. So out of those that are here today, how many of you have some idea that maybe you'd like to pursue medicine as a career? Just a couple of you, and so others, what are some of the other fields that you're thinking about? Law, okay. About one more. Technology. Okay, great. So all fabulous, wonderful fields. The good news is you have enough time. You have a lot of time to refine your interests and to get a sense of what you truly want to do. So what your goals are right now may stay the same. That may be what you end up doing 20, 30 years from now. You might not, and that's okay. You want to focus on sort of getting yourself out there and experiencing the fields. I'd encourage all of you, even those of you that are just starting or maybe haven't even started high school yet, that it's not too early to reach out to professionals that are in the fields that you're interested in and see if you can do some work for them. You know, it may not be paid work, but it is something that you could do maybe on a volunteer basis. Meet with them for an afternoon, meet with them for lunch or for coffee, and to get a sense of what is it that they do every day? What is their day-to-day like? What was their educational path? What are things that they like about their field? What are things that they dislike? How has the field changed over the past 10, 20 years? And through that exploration, you'll get a better sense of what it is that you want to do. I encourage people to do that and students to do that as much as possible, and also to branch out and think about other fields that they might not necessarily be considering, because there are just fields that you don't even know exist, and your eyes will be opened to them. I can tell you, I myself am a first-generation college student. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I went to a small private liberal arts college up in Maine, Colby College. Some of you may have heard of it. I'm from the Boston area. I had no idea the different fields that were out there and sort of what was open to me. I never thought I would be working in admissions at a medical school. And so it was really through focusing on my interests and passions that I found that field. So I encourage you to do that throughout high school and then once you get into college. In terms of medical school admissions, that is it's a lengthy process. It's one that would start if you're looking to enter medical school right after your college career. You would be starting to apply in your junior year, in the spring of your junior year of college. The way it currently works, and I always put that caveat out there because by the time you come to apply, things may change, and so it's also important to stay up to date on what the requirements and the processes are. But the way it currently works is applicants apply through a centralized application service, which is run on a national basis. Basically, for all of the allopathic medical schools in the country participate in this program, and it serves as sort of like a common app. So if some of you are thinking about applying to colleges, you probably know of the Common Application and how easy that makes things when you're applying to multiple schools. This centralized application service serves in the same capacity for medical schools. So you fill out one application, you identify the schools that you wish to apply to, you have your letters of recommendation and your transcripts sent to this centralized application service, and they will then distribute your application to all of the various medical schools that you've identified in that application. Schools will then also have typically a supplemental or a secondary application. This is the school's opportunity to sort of really personalize the application and get a sense of how well you fit into their school's mission, and if what your ideals are match up sort of with what the school is seeking. So that's also a process that happens after you submit the sort of common application. For us here at Harvard Medical School, we do what's called a holistic file review. So we're looking at the entire application. We're not basing our decisions solely on grades and MCAT scores. We're not looking for students that have just a 4.0 GPA and the highest scores on the MCAT. We would be able to fill our class with students with a 4.0 GPA. We could do that easily. We had this past year over 7,000 applicants for 165 students in our incoming class. So it is a very, very competitive process. And I say that not to scare you and not to make you think that this is never going to happen, because it can, but just to let you know that there are factors other than grades and test scores that are important to us here. So first and foremost, we want students who are going to be academically successful here at Harvard, and then ultimately when they become practicing physicians. One of the ways that we determine that is through looking at their grades and their MCAT scores and the school that they went, the undergraduate school that they went to, and the types of courses that they took. But also what comes into play is their leadership potential, and sort of what have they done in the past that has made them a well-rounded applicant. Because think about your own experiences in going to the doctor. It's really important that you feel that you are in very competent hands, but you also want a doctor that has a good bedside manner, that can relate to you, that can understand you as a person and understand your health in the context of where you're coming from. And that's really important to us here. We want physicians to leave here with the Harvard name who are excellent clinicians and great researchers and leaders in the field, but we also want them to be able to be personable. And so it's oftentimes all of those extras that come into play. So we're really looking for a combination. So how can you do that? Obviously, you need to study really hard. You need to prepare yourself. You need to do well in high school. You need to challenge yourself. You need to take the most challenging courses that you can, AP courses. Make sure that you're preparing well for the SAT. You need to choose an undergraduate school that's a good fit for you. We get a lot of questions from high school students, middle school students, parents about which school should my child go to, or which school should I pick. In our incoming class this year, when we were making admissions offers, we made admissions offers to students coming from over 80 different undergraduate institutions. So there's not one school that is really the best school out there for everyone. But there is a school that's the best school for you, and that's what ultimately you have to choose. So it doesn't have to be an undergraduate institution that has a medical school, or that's an Ivy League, or that even has a true pre-med major. You need to find a school that's going to be a good fit for you, because when you're in that school that's a good fit, you're going to be able to focus on your studies, focus on everything else, and be the best student that you can be. Once you're in the school, checking and choosing a major is really important. There's sort of a myth that's out there that says you have to be a biology major or a chemistry major to go to medical school. That's not actually the case. I would say the majority, about 70% of our students come in with either a biology or a chemistry background major, but there are also about 20% of the entering class that come in having been a social science or humanities major. So if your true passion lies in English literature, you can choose that as a major, provided you have a strong background in the sciences. So you do want to make sure that you're taking the set of courses that are required, and then some, ideally taking upper division courses above and beyond, because that will prepare you well for medical school. Beyond that, focus, don't focus solely on those science courses. Don't spend all of your time in the lab. Like I said before, we're really seeking well-rounded students. So if you play a sport, play a sport. If you're really into volunteering, get out there and do that volunteer work. If you are thinking of starting an organization or a student group at your undergraduate school, we encourage you to do that because those are the types of qualities that we're looking for in students that have leadership potential. Demonstrated leadership is ideal, and then also students that have interests outside. Those are sort of my tips, really, boiled down. I think right now the focus is not on sort of applying medical school. It's everything that comes before that, and I just like to encourage you to continue reaching and dreaming and keeping those goals in sight, but also exploring lots of other avenues.
It's okay while I have the opportunity. The kids are so young and they can choose, what kind of advanced placement courses to take. Why? I can't, I notice as running a test prep center, I always encourage kids to take AP chemistry or AP physics. Very often I hear, I'm scared, I'm afraid, it's hard, I'll just take it later. To what extent do you feel taking the advanced placement courses in high school are important, and to what extent should they be overcoming that fear and phobia of taking the advanced courses when they're younger?
Yeah, it's scary, and you definitely I think there's a little bit of I don't want to do it because I might get a lower grade because, it's a tougher class and therefore it's going to hurt my chances of gaining admission to a top caliber undergraduate institution. I mean, I think I certainly can't speak for undergraduate admissions operations and sort of what they're looking for, but I think what's important to note is that everything at most institutions are taken sort of holistically. So they're looking at the type of courses that you're taking. They're looking to see where you're taking those classes, so they know your high schools. They know how competitive they are, and they take that into consideration. So they know you're sort of weighing those grades that you're receiving a little bit differently than they would maybe just a traditional college prep biology course. The benefit of taking AP courses is that it allows you, if you score high enough on the AP exam, is it really frees up your time when you are in college to take upper level courses. So really that's the goal of AP coursework, is to get those students that have mastered that materials when they start college at the freshman level. They're not taking general biology, they're able to take genetics, they're able to take microbiology. And that frees you up then to take even more upper level courses as you go through the curriculum. So that's what we're seeing in our process. I don't think you have to take AP courses. And there are some students that come from high schools that don't offer AP classes. And so clearly we cannot hold them, we're not going to look at them and say, oh, you didn't take an AP class in high school. I wouldn't encourage you to take it if you don't feel like you're ready for it, because everybody matures at different rates too. And so some students are ready to take those in high school, and others really haven't hit that yet. And they're not going to hit their stride until they get to the undergraduate level. So I guess my advice would be to work with your guidance counselors at your schools to determine what is the most appropriate level of coursework for you. But don't be afraid to take a challenge. Don't be afraid to really step up. Yes, it's going to be a lot of hard work, but if you want to go into medicine, if you want to go into law, if you want to go into architecture, there's going to be a lot of hard work in there. So you might as well start early, because the earlier you start and the more preparation you do, the easier it's going to be.
You also mentioned a lot about leadership, and I can tell you firsthand that as a student leader in high school, I went on in college, and look at how my life turned out. I want to share, are there any organizations that you can suggest to kids? Because I was able to locate MiniMed, for example, at Mount Sinai. Is there anything within Harvard Medical School that caters to, inviting younger kids to see the campus and the environment?
I'm going to turn that over actually to Dr. Nutt. I'm not sure, and I will preface it by saying that I am relatively new to Harvard. I started back in December, so I've been here about 7 months. And just to give you a sense of my background, before coming to Harvard, I spent 12 years as the director of admissions at Tufts Dental School. So if anyone's also interested in becoming a dentist, I feel pretty qualified in giving you tips on that as well. And before that, I spent 4 years working in admissions for a private high school in Massachusetts. So, but I don't know specifically if there are programs
Here at Harvard, because the institution is spread out between Cambridge, which is on the other side of the Charles River, and that's where the undergraduate college is, and because we're here in Boston, where the medical school, the dental school, the School of Public Health is, our focus is on providing opportunities for students who reside in Boston and Cambridge. So our sphere of influence is limited to students within our communities. We don't have opportunities for students who come from out of state. However, as you said, you found something at Mount Sinai. I think most of the larger colleges and universities have opportunities for young people. It's part of their outreach program. I don't think we're the only ones who do that.
I do know of a program, it's not run here at Harvard, but there's the Summer Medical and Dental Education Program, which is for college students who are interested in going into medicine or dentistry. And there are a few different sites, about half a dozen sites across the U.S. I believe Yale has done it before, as well as Rutgers. And Columbia, I believe, is also. So those would be the areas that would probably be most of interest to you. But there's summer programs where students, it's a competitive program. You apply to it when you're in college. I think it's rising juniors, so it would be between your sophomore and junior year, and you go and you actually live on one of those campuses. There's also sites in California and so forth, and it's like a prep program for students that are interested in going. So you spend time with professors and other students, getting a sense of what it's like.
So great. And then I also found something also at the Sophie Davis program. They have a great program for high school kids too. So I just want to make sure I add that in as well.
Does anyone have any questions on admissions?
You said how there are people where, like, even if you have a background in other stuff, you might still want to go to medical school. Well, what? I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but like the best people that should go to medical school, like the main goal of your specific medical school would be for people who are.
Well, are you asking what other? I think she's asking what are the other fields that you draw. You said humanities and social sciences.
Yeah. So we have students that are. Are you asking what they're majoring in? In college? So they're really majoring in lots of different fields. So they may be majoring in biology or chemistry or engineering, but they also might be majoring in anthropology or in history. But yet they have sort of a goal of going to medical school. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to major in the sciences. If you have other interests, you can pursue those other interests and major in another field, provided you're still meeting the required. So there's a set of core courses that are fairly standard from one medical school to the next that applicants are required to take prior to entering medical school. So provided those are met, students are then able to major in whatever they want. We encourage students to take additional courses above and beyond those prerequisite courses, because certainly the more science coursework you take, theoretically speaking, the better prepared you are to enter medical school. But it's not 100% of the students will do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
I understand majority of those who live around here are able to be honored to participate in different programs that you offer for those who are not in college yet. But let's say we are in New York. Can we be a part of some lists that can let us know to have some ability to enter some events, perhaps some science events or some, to again take a trip and be a part of, for them to have some learning experience, some scientific experience, something that can get them closer to joining your family.
Okay, so if you Google Boston, biomedical science career program. Okay? This is a program for high school students where we offer a conference, and you're welcome to come to the conference. We talk about getting into college, we talk about interviewing tips and techniques, we talk about putting together a resume, financial aid, and this happens every other year here at the Harvard Medical School. I don't think that it's restricted to students who reside or go to school in Boston. Okay, but I will be in touch with Ms. Keller, and we will see what else we have here that you can participate in as you go to school. Okay? You're a member of our family now.
Yeah, we will get back on the bus and we will go back to Harvard Med School. Who's going to come back?
Okay? So, Ms. Friedman, I know you have an appointment afterwards, and I want to make sure that we give her a round of applause because this is a last-minute request, and she was able to fulfill it for us. So, thank you very much.
Of course, my pleasure. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you so much. Safe trip time. Thank you so much. Yay! And congratulations with her new job, and thank you.
Thank you.